Clearly, I consider the Trump administration a danger to the world, but I regard it as a purely temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. I give President Trump credit for motivating his core supporters brilliantly, but for every core supporter, he has created a greater number of core opponents who are equally strongly motivated. That's why I expect a Democratic landslide in 2018.
George Soros, in his 2018 Davos speech, stated that the Trump administration will cease to exist in 2020. The statement before that time was probably intended as an impeachment. He also predicted a landslide victory for the Democrats in the fall midterm elections that year. Furthermore,
Facebook and Google effectively control over half of all internet advertising revenue. To maintain their dominance, they must expand their networks and increase their share of the user's attention. Currently, they do this by providing users with a convenient platform. The more time users spend on the platform, the more valuable they become to the companies. Content providers also contribute to the profitability of social media companies because they can't avoid using the platform and they have to accept whatever terms they are offered. The exceptional profitability of these companies is largely a function of their avoiding responsibility for and avoid paying for the content of their platforms. They claim that they are merely distributing information, but the fact that they are near monopoly distributors make them into public utilities and should subject them to more stringent regulations aimed at preserving competition, innovation, and fair and open universal access.
President Trump arrived in Davos that day and was greeted with a response not seen at previous World Economic Forums. The following day, President Trump delivered his speech.
The world is witnessing the resurgence of a strong and prosperous America. I'm here to deliver a simple message. There has never been a better time to hire, to build, to invest, and to grow in the United States. America is open for business, and we are competitive once again. America is the place to do business. So come to America, where you can innovate, create, and build. The United States will no longer turn a blind eye to unfair economic practices. I will always put America first, just like the leaders of other countries should put their country first also. But America first does not mean America alone. When the United States grows, so does the world. Only by insisting on fair and reciprocal trade can we create a system that works not just for the U.S., but for all nations. As I have said, the United States is prepared to negotiate mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreements with all countries. This will include the countries in TPP. The United States is leading a very broad coalition to deny terrorists control of their territory and populations, to cut off their funding, and to discredit their wicked ideology. I am pleased to report that the coalition to defeat ISIS has retaken almost 100% of the territory once held by these killers in Iraq and Syria. We are committed to ensuring that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for terrorists who want to commit mass murder to our civilian populations. America is a cutting-edge economy, but our immigration system is stuck in the past. We must replace our current system of extended family chain migration with a merit-based system of admissions. So together, let us resolve to use our power, our resources, and our voices, not just for ourselves, but for our people. That's what we're doing in America, and the results are totally unmistakable. It's why America's future has never been brighter. Together, let us send our love and our gratitude to make them, because they really make our countries run. They make our countries great. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you very much. The other thing is I've always seemed to get, for whatever reason, a disproportionate amount of press or media. And throughout my whole life, somebody will explain someday why, but I've always gotten a lot. And as a businessman, I was always treated really well by the press. You know, the numbers speak and things happen, but I've always really had a very good press. And it wasn't until I became a politician that I realized how nasty, how mean, how vicious, and how fake the press can be as the cameras start going off in the back. But overall, I mean, the bottom line, somebody said, well, they couldn't have been that bad because here we are, we're president, and I think we're doing a really great job with my team. I have a team of just tremendous people.
Another foe Soros wants to defeat has criticized Soros in this way in a TV interview in Austria in June.
You just said that Mr. Prigozhin is referred to as Putin's chef. Indeed, that is his job. He is a restaurant owner in St. Petersburg. But do you really think that a person who is in the restaurant business, even if this person has some hacking opportunities and owns a private firm in this field, could use it to sway elections in the United States or a European country? Could it be that the media and political standards in Western countries have reached such a low level that a Russian restaurant owner can sway voters in a European country or the United States? Isn't that ridiculous? There is such a person in the United States, Mr. Soros, who interferes in affairs all over the world. I often hear from my American friends that America as a state has nothing to do with his activities. There are rumors circulating now that Mr. Soros is planning to make the euro highly volatile. Experts are already discussing this. Ask the State Department why he is doing this. The State Department will say that it has nothing to do with these activities. Rather, it is Mr. Soros' private affair. With us, it is Mr. Prigozhin's private affair. This is my answer. Are you satisfied with it?
Across Europe, Soros conspiracy theories are spreading. In Italy, he's now accused of funding rescue ships in the Mediterranean. His real purpose is to smuggle migrants to Europe. Italy's former Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini is a fierce critic. Salvini said, Soros wants to fill Italy and Europe with migrants. He would like Italy to become a giant refugee camp, because he likes slaves. The Hungarian Prime Minister is one of Soros' fiercest critics. When journalists were murdered and anti-government protests erupted in neighboring Slovakia, Viktor Orban responded by saying,
Soros György és a hozzá hasonló szervezeteknek a munkáját, illetve annak a kezenyomát a szlovák eseményeken, és egy percig sincsen kétségem afelől, hogy Soros György és a vele együttműködők mindent megtesznek, minden alkalmat megragadnak, hogy azokat a kormányokat, amelyek ellenállnak a bevándorlásnak, megbuktassák.
The 2022 midterm elections are just 2 months away. The FBI's unprecedented raid on the former president, followed by Biden's own extraordinary speech in which he deemed half of the country as enemy, and the blatant attacks on President Trump continue. So, did nothing happen before the 2018 midterm elections? There's one issue above all that's enraged the right. They claim George Soros wants open borders and has a secret plan to flood the country with migrants. In autumn 2018, thousands of migrants left Honduras bound for the USA. It was just a month before the crucial midterm elections that threatened to derail Trump's presidency. 2 weeks before the midterm elections, with the political temperature rising, news came through of mail bombs being sent to leading Democrats.
There's no other way to put it. This was an unsettling day across this country as we learned of several bombs sent to multiple locations. It all began to unfold this morning, authorities calling the bombs acts of terror. Sent to Hillary Clinton, former President Obama. CNN was among the targets, too. This was the chaotic and alarming scene outside CNN's New York City headquarters today. Heavily armed police on the scene. We have images tonight of the devices, including this one sent to CNN. And ABC News obtaining x-rays of the bombs. This one, you can see the wires there right inside. Again tonight, 6 targets across the country unfolding over several hours. At this hour, there is no word on a motive.
The first bomb was sent to George Soros' home. Others were sent to former President Obama and Hillary Clinton. None of the bombs detonated and are suspected to be fake bombs designed to gain electoral advantage for the Democrats. The FBI traced the bomber to a car park in Florida. They impounded his white van. It looked too good to be true, covered in pro-Trump stickers. On the internet, George Soros was accused of orchestrating everything. The mail bomber turned out to be a 56-year-old Florida man called Cesar Siak. The final proof that there was no hoax is the former bodybuilder's plea of guilty to 65 counts, including intent to kill or injure with explosives. President Trump was concerned that the incident would damage the Republican midterm elections. On the internet, the bomb appears to never explode because it is not made in the correct manufacturing method. There were rumors that it was a hoax with no potential danger as reported. Siak's social media revealed he hated the migrant caravan. On the day the pipe bomb was discovered at George Soros' house, Siak reposted a meme that the world is waking up to the horrors of George Soros. The existing media does its best to put out fires when the facts are inconvenient to Soros and the Democrats. It was no different then and it is no different now. The perpetrator's confession and posts on social networking sites support the motive. The authorities do not hold an official press conference on the status of the investigation, and the media do not pursue it. Those who point out anything suspicious are called conspiracy theorists. Isn't something similar happening in Japan?
On Friday, President Trump falsely claimed protesters were not motivated by their concerns, but by paychecks from billionaire George Soros instead. Quote,
well, that's a very old, tired, anti-Semitic, very old anti-Semitic trick that people have played,
quote,
usually on the internet, Mika.
The very rude elevator screamers are paid professionals only looking to make senators look bad. Don't fall for it. Also, look at all of the professionally made identical signs paid for by Soros and others. These are not signs made in the basement from love. With the hashtag troublemakers. Trump's comments, which was examined and debunked by the Washington Post, came shortly after this exchange.
Bobby Scott of Virginia.
In the 2018 midterm elections, Republicans retained their majority in the Senate, but lost a significant number of seats in the House of Representatives, losing their majority to the Democrats. As a result, the Democrats' goal became clear: to impeach President Trump. Russiagate, which has been pursued since the birth of President Trump, failed to lead to impeachment due to lack of evidence. In 2022, Special Prosecutor Durham revealed that it was a fabrication of the FBI and Hillary Clinton's campaign. The mainstream media has turned every rumor about Soros into a conspiracy theory and reported him as a philanthropist. The Media Research Center, an American media watchdog established in 1987, says 30 American news organizations have links to George Soros.
A democracy or open society only survives if it's tested. It's constantly in danger. It's constantly in danger of falling apart, and there must be some people who'll fight to preserve it.
From his New York base, he's made an incredible $44 billion through financial speculation. But he's accused of channeling his vast wealth in pursuit of a secret plan to overthrow governments to control European politics.
Talking about foreign powers, the forever question is, where does the funding for this kind of projects come? What do you think? Fundraising, stakeholders? Who are funding this stuff?
It's always the most interesting question, and it's always the most guarded secret of all these movements. Personally, I know about the case of Ukraine and,
Okay, so
Belarus.
who funded Ukraine and Belarus in 2003 and 2006 for Belarus?
Let's say some foundations which are from several Western countries, including United States, but we're operating through, for instance, Polish NGOs.
Is the United States always present in this kind of projects?
I'm not sure if always, but in most of the conflicts. I mean, this another thing here, another factor. You have geopolitical interests, and concerning these geopolitical interests, every country or every superpower, like United States, makes its decision. Is it worth to engage in a colorful revolution, to start it, to ignite it, or not? Sometimes, and we know it, some other countries try to inspire or to ignite colorful revolutions. So it's not only the United States. But to be honest, United States have the best experts in this sphere. We have Jenna Sharp and his colorful revolution technology, his colorful revolution handbook, actually.
George Soros?
Yes. Oh, George Soros is a sponsor, and but Jenna Sharp is an ideologue and let's say a man who invented the whole technology of the contemporary colorful revolution. So, of course, United States are the leading power when it comes to these technologies.
Allegations are multiplying of secret Soros plots. Color Revolution, Maidan Revolution, Antifa, BLM, and the attack on the Capitol. Soros knows better than anyone how to turn a popular protest into a mob.
The biggest and most frightening setback occurred in India, where the democratically elected Narendra Modi created a Hindu nationalist state. President Trump is a con man and the ultimate narcissist who wants the world to revolve around him. When his fantasy of becoming president came true, his narcissism developed a pathological dimension. The best and perhaps only way to preserve our civilization is to defeat Putin as soon as possible. That's the bottom line.
As you know, this week, Joe Biden came to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to give the most vicious, hateful, and divisive speech ever delivered by an American president, vilifying 75 million citizens plus another probably 75 to 150, if we want to be accurate about it, as threats to democracy and as enemies of the state. You're all enemies of the state. He's an enemy of the state. You want to know the truth? The enemy of the state is him and the group that control him, which is circling around him. Do this, do that, Joe. You're going to do this, Joe, right? The FBI and the Justice Department have become vicious monsters, controlled by radical left scoundrels, lawyers, and the media who tell them what to do, you people right there, and when to do it. They're trying to silence me, and more importantly, they are trying to silence you, but we will not be silenced, right?
From the 2020 presidential election to the current conflict in Ukraine, the person Soros most wants to defeat is still alive and well. But our nation has lost an important leader.
And if it's the economic transformation fails, then the fallback is to hold power, hold the country together by having some external conflict. Conflict with obviously China and Japan are set up for that. And then you have a very dismal prospect for the world.